A very good morning, a good evening, and a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, whatever place that you're tuned on to the Life Signatures Radio. It's a daily show. In this show, we talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience. You found us in the middle of a series where we're talking about the road less traveled, putting our feet on the road less traveled, how important it is, why we should do that. And we say that two major things stand out, whereby we introduce ourselves to ourselves. We get to look at the man in the mirror, and we get to be much acquainted with ourselves when we are on the road less traveled, when we're on the path of most resistance than when we are not. And then we also found out that we get to grow. And so we've been looking at how exactly do we get on that road less traveled. And over the past 7 or so episodes, we were talking about doing the uncomfortable to go on to the birth process, the self-birthing process. And today we're going to go ahead and talk about something totally different, but still on the road less traveled. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
One of the things that you and I need to do in order to be on the road less traveled is to do the uncomfortable. Of course, we've talked about that, and that's the most straightforward thing there is. When we are on the uncomfortable, when we are doing things that are really uncomfortable, saying you're sorry when you know you don't like saying you're sorry, but you are supposed to, it's a very uncomfortable thing. Seriously uncomfortable. Some people, you will need an earth mover. You need to get an earth mover for them to say they are sorry, as in they just can't humble themselves. It's very uncomfortable to say they are sorry, even when they know they are wrong. As in, when they are alone with themselves, when they are arguing, they're all over the place. But when they are alone with themselves, they just know, I was wrong. But they can't bring themselves to say they are sorry. It is an uncomfortable thing. Seriously uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. But you see, that is the road less traveled. Okay? That's the road less traveled. And this is that's the road we're supposed to be on. This is the road we're supposed to be on. The road less traveled. It chisels all these dross out of our lives. So when you go on the road less traveled and you say, when you get to a place where you do something that is wrong, whether you did it willfully or not, just humble thyself and say you're sorry. I am sorry. I know it's uncomfortable to say that, but that's the road less traveled. You see, it is much beneficial to be on the road less traveled than not. To go on the path of most resistance, especially when yourself are the one who is resisting, than not. Than on the path where, you are all, I'm not going to say I'm sorry, I can't. It's me, I cannot. It's embarrassing. I can't do that. It's belittling myself. That's the road most traveled, and it doesn't lead to growth. It doesn't lead to you knowing who you really are. It doesn't humble you. It doesn't bring the originality that is in you. It stresses you at the end of the day. You walk around with a phony face, because you just can't say you're sorry. Be on the road less traveled. It's uncomfortable. That's the first thing we said. But the second thing that I want to introduce to us today is that doing the unconventional is critical in the self-bathing process, because doing the unconventional, it is also being on the self-bathing process and on the road less traveled. Doing the unconventional. What is the unconventional? Doing something that is outside of status quo, something that is outside the culture of the day, something that is always expected. We always do these things this way. We always do these things this way. We don't change a thing. That is the conventional. And sometimes in society, we are so steeped into the conventional, even when the realities are changing. The results have changed. We are not guaranteed the same results that the conventional used to guarantee 20 years back, but we are still stuck on the conventional. Going in the unconventional is not an easy thing, my friends. It's a dare, actually. It's like sticking up like a sore thumb. It's like going against the grain. But that's exactly what we need to do from time to time, going on the unconventional way, so that we can determine who we really are. We can get introduced to who we really are. We can get introduced to different dimensions in life. If you examined the way your physical body operates, you will notice that the maintenance of status quo is the main thing. While it grows, while it changes, the maintenance of the status quo of the body is imperative. For example, if you bruise yourself, that very minute, signals are sent, mechanisms are put into place, chemicals are released to deal with that situation immediately, so that you can be restored to the conventional, the status quo. And interestingly, we tend to follow through life much like that, just like the body does. And unfortunately, that kind of outlook only enforces the status quo. It doesn't help us in the self-bathing process. It doesn't help us in the growth process. And I have reason to believe that all of us have great and immense potential. And I know every one of us has that immense potential that can only be unearthed when we do the unconventional. It's interesting. Potential doesn't get exploited in the ordinary and in the normal. See, there are 3 important days in our lives. The first is the day we were born. The second is the day we discover why. And the third day is the day that we go through the self-bathing process. That's an original quote. Of course, I've added what Mark Twain said earlier on. The thing with the third day is that it is a process. It's not an event. The first day is an event. The second day, it can be an event or a process. But the third day, it keeps going. The same applies to the second day. It just keeps going. However, the second day does not have an end to it. The second day does have an end to it. But the third day doesn't. It doesn't. It keeps going on and on and on and on. See, in life, I would encourage you to be more steeped into the processes of life than into events. I know we like events. We like graduation ceremonies more than we like the process of learning. But the point I'm making here is that processes are more critical than events. And no man or woman worth his or her salt ever achieved greatness without ever going through the process of self-birth. And that important process, it is through that important process that we come face to face, not only with who we really are, but what we must do. And self-birthing will usher us into a life of meaning, into a life of fulfillment. It is impossible. It is possible to go through life for decades on end without ever coming to that crucial place of self-birthing. People do that all day long. And we said earlier that there are 6 prerequisites. Actually, in the past 6 or so episodes, 7 or so episodes, there are 6 prerequisites that we need to govern this self-birthing process. We talked about those. And there has to be something in the background that is at play for the process of self-birthing to take place. See, even after we have been on that particular road of self-birthing, there are some practical things that we need to do in order to effect that self-birthing process on the road less traveled. It is never going to be something that happens arbitrarily, automatically, autopilot kind of a thing. In fact, I have previously indicated that it is a process that will require you to do it alone. And that's why you will be governed by the 6 prerequisites we talked about. But today, I'm just going to tell you this. We've got to do the unconventional. I will talk about that, and I will talk about that, and I will tell you it is absolutely important in your life if you're going to go through the self-birthing process, doing the unconventional. And doing the unconventional is not something that I can be able to cater for today and finish today. I'm going to go deeper into it tomorrow. But you know what the conventional is? Is the status quo, the normal, the things that we are, quote unquote, comfortable with. We talked about comfort in the previous episodes. The things that we are comfortable with, for the most part, are in the status quo and they are conventional. Now, sometimes they might be uncomfortable, but we are used to them. We get used to the uncomfortable situation and it becomes comfortable, it becomes conventional. The unconventional is totally different. It determines that you should do something new, something different, something probably that has never been done before, something that nobody wants to do. Nobody is you. The man in the mirror. We're going to go deeper into that in the episode tomorrow. But until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.